Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And I got a late start today, and I am so grateful to those of you who checked in to find out, to make sure that everything was okay. I apologize for that. I had a call that was from the tax department of Pennsylvania. So I had to take it and just sort of sort things out. Good morning, Irma. I'm so sorry that I'm late, and I hope you'll forgive me, but you don't mess with the government, right? And taxes especially. So had to get that straightened out. In any case, today's topic is daring to dream. And I'm excited to talk about this with you, just because we need to live our dreams now more than ever, and it can be a scary prospect for so many people, because your dreams might mean that you get to change how you're living. So we get to explore it. But before we do, let's just take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your cells, your lungs and your bloodstream, and nourishing your cells and your organs and filling you up with life energy. And as you exhale any stress or tension. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, and this time imagine brilliant, bright, beautiful light coursing through you and into all of your molecules and electrons, and electrifying and energizing you and every part of you, connecting you with the world beyond. And as you exhale any tension and any stress. And now let's just gently press our palms together, softly, softly, softly. Rub your fingers against your palms and feel how delicious that is, and bring yourselves present right here, right now. So today's topic is daring to dream. And the reason that I brought this up is because a number of the folks that are in my coaching program are looking at what their lives would be if they could make them up the way they wanted to. And we've sort of been dancing with this topic a bit lately here anyway, but now let's take a look at what is this dynamic around our dreaming. I'm just responding to a couple people who had reached out about today's show to see if we were on or not, and I want to make sure that they know that they can join us. So I'm not finding this other message anyway. Daring to dream. So I remember some years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine and asking them, what's your dream? What's your vision? And they were like, no, not going there, because they had a plan with their business, and they had it kind of mapped out, and they were going to follow the plan rather than even entertaining their dream. And it was such a curious thing to me. Hello, Andrea. Welcome. I'm glad you're here to join us. We're talking about daring to dream today. And so with this friend of mine who was really just refusing to consider her dreams, I was so taken aback, and it made me think about what in the world what could be going on for somebody when they would not even dare to entertain what their dreams might be. And what I realized is that when we dare to dream, when we entertain our fondest dreams, when we listen very closely to the yearnings of our heart, that the things we hear may not align with the lives that we're living. And it may mean that we get to make radical change to our lives, to the people that we associate with, to the way we prioritize things, to everything that's familiar. And along the idea of being a being a slave to the familiar. I am going to use that word, being enslaved by the familiar. I remember years and years ago when I was in college, I was dating someone, and the person was a very sweet person, but I just was not happy. And I realized at that time, I was thinking, well, I'm more afraid of the unknown and maybe not finding someone else than I am of then I am averse to staying in this unhappy relationship. And I know lots of people wrestle with the same kind of dilemma, is like the misery that we know is safer and somehow preferable to the misery we don't. And I think that dynamic comes into play when we look at daring to dream our dreams. So if you have a dream that is so big that or so different from where you are in your life, the pathway looking from here to there, it's not that there's often a sensation or an experience of you can't get there from here, and I can speak from experience with this. When I chose to take ownership of my dream about the eco park that I've spoken about a bunch of times with you guys, and when I took ownership of that dream, what I realized was that things had to change, that the support system that I had in place in my life was inadequate to support me in the pursuit of that dream. And what I did in that revelation, in that awareness, was I took on some coaches. I set myself up to have support networks of people that were able to entertain the quote unquote impossible, people that were oriented to thinking outside the box, people who were willing to challenge the status quo and to entertain possibility, even in the face of what people might generally consider insurmountable odds. And the thing that I want to share with you is that taking that on and up leveling my life and my circle and my support system, and going for the skills that I needed and the support that I needed, was the best thing I ever did in my life. It was very challenging. It wasn't always an easy road. There were times when I was very fearful. I didn't know how it was going to happen. And I was still building the support that I needed. And it was a total unknown. And yet, leaping into that unknown and that challenging journey and gaining the skills that I needed was, again, the best thing I've ever done for myself in my life. It really, truly gave me my life. And so there is the aspect of kind of jumping off a cliff and not having the answers. And I think it's important to have an armature, like at least a loose kind of structure to be able to move into. Because I made that choice, I knew at least a few of my next steps. I knew that I needed to get support to move into this arena that was so completely unfamiliar. And when we're entertaining our dreams, we first get it is at first an act of courage to entertain that calling from your heart to say what is possible, and actually not even saying what is possible. What we want to do when we're looking at daring to dream is first daring to ask ourselves the question, if anything were possible, what would I desire? If anything were possible, what would make my heart sing? What would feel enlivening? What would feed my soul? And the thing that I've noticed in some of my clients, when daring to dream their dream life, or even facing the prospect of dreaming their dream life, is that they stop themselves before they ever got started by saying, well, I don't know how I could make money at that. And that's a dream killer conversation. And we can, there are many dream killer conversations. And this is why it's important to be alert to who you share your dreams with, because there are many people that, although not meaning to be destructive, maybe they're wanting you to be realistic, and that's got big air quotes around it. But they might think that they're protecting you from setting yourself up for failure, that they're keeping you realistic, they're helping you to keep your feet on the ground, all these terms that we live with as a cultural norm. We've talked about assertiveness this week, and how assertiveness has often a negative cultural connotation, and that negative cultural connotation is something that helps to keep us in line and keep us quiet and keep us complacent almost. You don't want to rock the boat. Well, dreaming your dreams is a radical act. It's a revolutionary act to dream your dreams, and then an even more revolutionary act to act upon your dreams. And I'll say evolutionary act instead of even revolutionary act, because as we all have the courage and cultivate the courage to dream our dreams and bring them into fruition and follow our dreams, then we will evolve as a culture, and we will reinvent not only ourselves but the world that we live in. And I recognize that it can be threatening to people to dream your dreams, and also it can be threatening to people to see others dream their dreams. And this is another reason why you want to be alert to who you share your dreams with, because if you're dreaming your dream and you're bringing your dream into fruition, some people will feel very threatened by that and try to squash those dreams, because if you succeed in dreaming your dreams, then what does that mean for them? If they're unwilling to dream their dreams. So it's an unfortunate dynamic that is often at play, but people will try to keep other people down because it threatens the social dynamic that you're engaged with people. And what I noticed when I moved into my vision is that for a while, my relationships really shifted. It seemed as if they fell away for a bit. Good morning, Julie. Welcome. We're glad to have you here. And welcome to everybody else who's here. I apologize again for having a late start. I had an important phone call, but at least some of the regulars are here, and I'm thrilled to be here with you. So anyway, the first step to dreaming your dreams is listening to the call of your soul, the voice of your heart, that deep yearning inside. And sometimes the way that it shows up is not as a deep yearning, but as a deep despair. And if you're feeling a deep despair, that's an indicator that if it's an ongoing despair, it's an indicator that you're not living the life that you're called to live. It's an indicator that there's a lack of alignment. And if you're unhappy, it's very likely because you have overridden that voice inside that has tried to assert itself into something more than the life you're providing it. And I know, again, I speak from my own personal experience in that regard. For years, I was just in deep despair. I was in a job. I was doing very well in that job. And initially it was exciting because I could I could be learning new things. I could be challenging myself in different ways. I was in sales for a bunch of years, and I was really good at it because for me, it was about relationship and communication with people that were my clients, my accounts. They became my friends. And so for a while, it was sufficient to feel like I got paid for visiting people. But I was selling eyeglass frames. So I traveled and visited opticians, optometrists, and ophthalmologists and showed them these eyeglass frames and made sales with them. And the sale part for me was incidental in terms of the reward for this job. And plus it met a lot of my criteria. I had a lot of autonomy. I got to make my own schedule. I got to communicate with a lot of different people. I got to see different places. And selling eyeglass frames for a while anyway, I felt like at least I was filling some kind of need. For me, however, ultimately, as the sales criteria or the requirements of my job in terms of meeting certain quotas became more challenging and really kind of took whatever joy there was for me out of the job. It wasn't enough. I didn't feel that for me it was meaningful enough. I couldn't source enough meaning in that for myself to satisfy my soul. And that voice within me of despair just got greater and greater and greater till the point where I just felt like I just didn't want to be here. I just felt like I was trapped in something that was so not aligned with the my sense of meaning and purpose. And so one of the ways that we can be goaded to entertain our dreams or to start seeking our dreams is through that deep despair. To recognize, hey, the way I'm living is not in alignment with who I am or who I desire to be or dream of being. And so when experiencing that sense of despair, what we get to do and hopefully we can do it without having to get to that point of despair. Although sometimes, in order to make the radical changes that we're called to make, we have to be extremely uncomfortable so that we say, you know what, this is unbearable. I have to make a change. It would be nice if we could take the hint earlier, if we could move from inspiration rather than desperation, but we get what we need, right? If we need that desperation to catapult us into a new direction, well, whatever works, right? So the dreams, I just believe that we all came here for a purpose, that we all came here with a unique song, with a unique purpose, with a unique expression, and our finding our joy in that expression is fulfillment. That gives us the fulfillment that we yearn for. And so Christina says, good morning, waiting in a virtual waiting room for a video appointment with my doc. Keep dreaming. And Christina, may health be with you. May all be well in your virtual appointment. So yes, this is about not just dreaming, but but in order to fulfill our dreams, we first have to entertain them, right? And so there are hurdles that we get to overcome, even just to dream our dreams, because realize that if we lose that tiger, that passion that is the part of us that is allowing ourselves to dream, then there becomes a greater and greater demand that we do something to fulfill those dreams, not just like someday, one day, because life will be frittered away on the way to someday, one day. We get to recognize our dream and then take a step into it, take some ownership of it as a mission, as a purpose, as something to live into. And it doesn't have to be, okay, I'm going to quit my job today and go follow my dream, although maybe that is what it looks like. But we get to look at, what is my heart calling for? And it's not just one answer. So one of the things that we do as part of the coaching program that I do with folks is to create a vision statement, and essentially an umbrella statement that gives us sort of a context within which we live our lives. So if I am a light bringer, for instance, then I have a multitude of vehicles for expressing that light. It may be through dance, it may be through through volunteerism, it may be through any number of things. It doesn't, our dream doesn't necessarily have to manifest as a paying career, although it certainly can. We get to create a mission for ourselves, and it's a game. It's a game. So for me, my mission, or yeah, my stated mission is to mainstream sustainable practices globally. Now, clearly, that may not even happen in my lifetime. And it's certainly not something that I can do by myself, right? But with I can make make efforts in that direction. I can choose a path that supports that vision for myself and for the world. And so that was really the eco park idea kind of grows out of this notion of saving the world, right? Like, how do we get people to do what we need to do to preserve life on this planet as we know it, in terms of a livable climate? And one of the ways that I see for that is education. And what came out of that was the Eco Park. And what came out of the vision of the Eco Park was my podcast, Sustainability Now, that I share with my co-founder, Scott Billy. And so it's by daring to have these outrageous dreams that we actually step into that we get to change the world. We get to change the world, and we get to live a life of vibrance and reward that fulfills our soul, that's in alignment with ourselves. Good morning, Rosalind. Great to have you here. And you're here for a day of daring to dream our dreams and then step into that. So Irma says, you're doing this right here and you're taking us along with you along for the ride. Thank you. Oh, that's wonderful, Irma. Thank you for that, because this is the ride of our lives, right? And we get to do this together and build a community of people that are about envisioning a new future for ourselves, for our planets, for our families, and it means stepping out of the drone of day-to-day conversation and noise and limitation, because it's when we look at the boundaries, pushing the boundaries of our limitation, that we find greater freedom, that we find greater authenticity, that we find greater expression. And I don't mean pushing the boundaries just for the sake of pushing the boundaries, although that can be liberating too. What I'm talking about is pushing the boundaries of our self-limiting perception and allowing ourselves to attend to that calling of our hearts. Because what more is life about, really? You know, we could say life is about duty and responsibility. And I believe in taking responsibility. I believe in taking responsibility for our choices. I believe in being responsible for ourselves and our lives, and being accountable, you know, for the responsibilities that we've taken on. For instance, if we're raising children or we're taking on responsibilities, okay, and what about both and rather than either or? What about expanding our possibility rather than narrowing ourselves into a constraint of externally dictated boundaries? Let's take that leap within ourselves to be able to choose how we're going to live this treasured life. And what if we did receive it as we've talked about this, as a sacred pilgrimage rather than a burden and sentence. And when we make that shift, we can perhaps allow ourselves the freedom to embrace the possibility that is beyond the trend of the crowd. So anybody who's a visionary, anybody who's dreaming their dream and living their dream, is not just going along with the crowd. And it means in some respects, it means separating yourself to be able to make your own choices, and to be able to do something that other people might say is crazy, or that other people might instill doubt in you about. And that's why the phrase dare to dream, because it is daring. It is taking yourself out of the mainstream flow. And that can be very frightening and intimidating. It's like, what will people think? What if I don't make it? What if I don't succeed? What if I have this bold and audacious dream and I don't succeed in fulfilling it? Well, there's merit in trying. There's merit in pursuing that dream, whether or not you achieve it. I don't know. I say I do know, actually. I do believe in my heart that the eco park, it will happen. I really, truly do. And who knows? Maybe it won't. But for me, it's there as my vision. It's there. I'm moving forward toward it, and I have I have a sense of certainty that it is going to happen, and that it'll be a magnificent thing. And whether or not I change my path to some direction other than the eco park or not, the journey that is being guided by that is remarkable. And regardless of whether it ends up being the eco park or not, this vision of global sustainability encompasses whatever else I'm going to do, because that's the foundational driver. And we get to honor our deepest calling and our deepest dreams, and then we get to move forward in life with that dream as a guiding light, as a North Star, to keep us motivated, to keep us exploring and discovering and growing and evolving. So daring to dream is you allowing yourself to be here to fulfill what you came here to do and who you came here to be. So nourish that part of yourself that is willing to think outside the box, and and give that part of yourself reverence and appreciation, because that is the kernel of vitality within you expressing itself. And when you give it voice in the world, there's no greater fulfillment. So that is guiding you into your highest alignment. And so I wish that for you. I wish for you the strength and courage and adventure of exploring your greatest dreams, and then looking at ways to that reality can align, reality in air quotes, can align with you, and the universe align with you to support you in the fulfillment of those dreams. And that's the greatest wish that I have for anyone, is that they have the courage to allow themselves to embark on this really magical, gifted journey. And so, with that, I'm going to call it a day with you, and just say thank you so much for being here with me, and for being willing to go deeper and to ask the tough questions that can open your life up into greater vistas. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live on the Enlightened World Network at 9 a.m. Eastern every day, even though today was a little bit of an exception. And I invite you to check out the other wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network on their Facebook page. People doing all kinds of meditation and spiritual awareness and teaching. And Rosalind, you're so welcome. I am so grateful to you all for being here with me. And until next time, dream those dreams and let your heart sing. And you will light up the world by sharing your light.